right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to go over just a couple of housekeeping items before we jump in. So just note that today, as you're joining us, the chat feature is going to be disabled for this webinar. So if you have any questions, I'm going to be running the Q&A today. Please pop those in the Q&A and we'll make sure we get those answered for you. For the sake of time, we are going to try and keep question answering to the topics that we're covering today. So if you have any questions that kind of fall outside of the functions that we're discussing today, please be sure that you hop into the chat feature, the live chat feature in your RedTeam Flex database. We're also going to be recording the webinar, so we'll be providing a copy of that to everyone afterwards. That's going to include a link to a lot of great resources and a lot of additional material that we don't have time to discuss today. During the webinar, you are going to see a couple of polls pop up. So please take a minute to answer those as you see those pop up on your screen. We really appreciate your feedback, and we're going to use that to continue to improve our solutions to meet your needs. So thank you so much. And with that, we're going to get going.
All right. So today we're going to cover, some recent updates in RedTeam Flex and Fieldlens by RedTeam, as well as Team Player. We're going to touch on some really exciting things that are coming soon. As Sarah mentioned, there are really too many things that we've done recently or that we're working on to cover everything. So we will have at the end of the webinar and going out in your materials afterward, some reference materials so you can check out more about what we've done and what we're working on. We're also going to have an overview here of some recent feature releases. We're going to have some additional information on those releases for you as well if you need access to release notes and things like that, so you can learn a bit more about these features. Those will be available. And as I mentioned, you're going to learn what's next on our roadmap that we're actively working on. So Sarah, you can move forward. All right, so you see Neil is on our screen here. He was originally meant to be in our webinar with us today. He's having some internet issues. He may pop in at some point, so I will introduce Neil. He is one of our subject matter experts here at RedTeam for financial management. He's been with RedTeam for a few years. He's been an SME in that time. He's worked on the configuration and implementation side, so some of you may recognize his name from having worked with him in the past. I am Nicole Chance. I'm the product marketing manager here at RedTeam. I've been with RedTeam for 7 years in different capacities. Over the last couple of years, it's been product marketing. Prior to that, it was on the client experience side and implementation. And prior to coming to work for RedTeam, I was a project manager in commercial construction for 10 years. And I actually had to use RedTeam Flex with one of the GCs that I worked for. So for me, it's a very personal experience when we release new things that make it easier and better for you. It's particularly enjoyable for me as someone who used to use it. Sarah?
Awesome. Yeah, thanks. I am Sarah Nyheisel. I'm one of the senior implementation specialists here at RedTeam. I've been onboarding and implementing new clients with the Flex and the Fieldlens platforms for about 3.5 years. My background is actually in logistics and facilities maintenance, notably with the U.S. Navy. So that's where I kind of have my background. No direct construction experience, but I do really love teaching this software. And I can tell you that in terms of project management and vendor management, I would have loved to have a software like this in my previous life. So I'm going to be answering the Q&A today and then filling in for a few slides for Neil as he's experiencing some internet issues. So I'll actually be turning off my camera to make sure I'm not distracting as I'm answering your questions in the Q&A. But before we do that, I want to make sure I get you a little bit of an explanation for anyone who's not familiar with us in terms of what is RedTeam and what are the two platforms we're going to be talking about today. So you can see on the slide here, right, this is RedTeam. This is us. Construction is one of the world's most challenging industries. We get it because we've been there. RedTeam understands what success looks like every step of the way, which is why we're focused on the entire project team from the office to the field. Your job's never going to be easy, but having maximum control over schedules, safety, quality, and cost make the day-to-day run better and more smoothly than ever before. That's total project control. That's RedTeam. So when we look at the projects or the platforms, that we're going to be talking about today, our flagship platform, RedTeam Flex, is a highly configurable construction management software designed to help general contractors manage their construction projects from start to finish. This product is built for commercial construction companies with complex business organizations and sophisticated workflows that demand advanced integration and configurability. Now, when we look at our other platform that we're going to be talking about today, Fieldlens by RedTeam, This one is a job site management tool. It's an intuitive construction job site management software for efficient real-time collaboration among field, office, and trade workers that reduces rework and miscommunication. This product is built for construction companies of all sizes that are looking for tools to keep everyone from project owners to architects and subcontractors on the same page. So that's your intro to what we're going to be covering today, and I'll toss it back to Nicole.
So before we talk about the features that we're working on and the features we've recently released, we want to let you know how we build out our roadmap. So it is client suggestions, right? You come into chat, you talk to somebody and talk about how your company's workflows work and suggest things for us. And we work in as many of those as we can into our roadmap. It's a combination of things like today. You'll see these polls, you'll see the survey at the end of the webinar. We send out additional survey links either in product or in emails at various times in the year, and feedback that we receive there could be during the sales cycle. Prospects are talking about things that they would like. And just during your life cycle as a client, you continue to talk to your client experience team, your client success manager, talk about your needs, and we work all of that in as much as we can to our roadmap to make sure that we're doing the most we can for the most of our client base. And of course, obviously, as you see there as well, technical updates and maintenance are always ongoing to make sure that everything works as it needs to and you don't have any hiccups along the way. All right, Sarah, we can jump. All right, so first up is Fieldlens by RedTeam. So we're going to have a theme for most of our updates here. You'll notice ease of use and efficiency on just about every slide for every feature that we talk about. Again, that's really what we want to make sure is that we're making your lives easier in your day-to-day. So for Fieldlens by RedTeam, we've released automated monthly reports. And it's basically, we've added the ability to schedule automated reports on a specific day of the month. This update makes it easier for you to schedule at a preferred cadence. For those of you who used Fieldlens, you know that you've had the ability to schedule reports. You could do it daily or weekly, but this is the ability to say, you know, on a particular date of every month, I need this very specific report to go back to a project executive or something similar. All right, Sarah, you can move forward. So again, we're just trying to make it easier for you to be able to share relevant project information with various teams. So again, Fieldlens is largely for field teams to be able to communicate things back to the office, or for you to be able to communicate with stakeholders that are not internal to your company. So again, we just want to give you easy ways to be able to share that information for people not logging in daily to the system. So again, you can schedule reports whenever you want, daily, weekly. This is the ability to say on the last date of every month, I want this report to go out. Just a little note as well, if you want your outside team members to have access to create their own reports, there's a lot of great options for reporting within the system. They would either need a paid license for Fieldlens, or alternatively, if you have the ecosystem add-on, those external team members will have the ability to create reports as well. All right, you can move forward.
Okay, so this is just a visual to kind of show you what this new feature is. So if you're familiar with Fieldlens, you probably already know that you've got this reporting screen where you can build your reports by choosing exactly the types of posts and the statuses of posts you want to include. You can customize a little bit of the formatting and view here. And what you're going to be seeing is in the schedule section, you're now going to be seeing this monthly option, which allows you, instead of daily or weekly, to actually specify a start date within the month. And then it's going to continue to pull on that day of the month until such time as you tell it to stop after a certain number of reports or after a certain date.
All right. So we also have some integration updates to talk about, which are coming soon. What we're going to be doing for those of you who have the Flex and Fieldlens integration, we're going to start trying to make it an even more seamless user experience. So what we're starting first with is the automatic sync of the projects and drawings. So we're prioritizing items that we receive the most feedback about to make sure that we're giving you the best overall experience that we can. So first is going to be, as you create projects in RedTeam Flex, if you're integrated with Fieldlens, we will be adding the option for, or not the option, it will automatically sync your project to Fieldlens as well. So the project will automatically go. You don't have to worry about taking the time to send it, along with the drawings. Right now, it's going to be auto synced They're going to be bi-directional, just to make sure everybody working in both systems has access to the exact same drawings. You've got the same versions, the same markups, things of that nature. All right, you can move forward. All right, so really the goal here is to streamline operations, make sure for those of you that have the integration, we want to also reduce the risk that people are not seeing markups made in either system. We want to make sure that all the versions and new versions of drawings are in both systems, and everybody is working off the exact same set. Everybody has access to the exact same information. So we really are working on just a more consolidated approach to the integration throughout the rest of the year and through 2025. So again, this is just the first of many updates that we'll make. If you have additional recommendations or needs with the integration, please feel free to reach out to your client success manager. Again, everything we do is based on your needs, so please feel free to share those. You can move forward.
Absolutely. So this is just another visual for you, right? If you're familiar with Fieldlens, you're familiar with this thumbprint kind of, or small preview view of all your drawings. This is just to kind of illustrate that, you're familiar with that button click to send items from Flex to Fieldlens right now. This update would eliminate the need for button clicks. You're going to be increasing that automation. Things are going to be syncing automatically, and they'll be bi-directional to make sure that what is reflected in one system is automatically reflected in the other.
Exactly. All right, next up, we're moving to RedTeam Flex. So we've got some ERP integration updates. First up is Sage Intacct vendor invoice attachment. So for those of you that have this integration, what we've done is, regardless of where you enter your vendor invoices and upload those attachments, they will be available in both systems. So if your team prefers, for whatever reason, to upload directly into Sage Intacct, that will now be available in RedTeam Flex, including the vendor invoice attachment. Similarly, if you upload directly into RedTeam Flex, or if your vendors use Team Player for RedTeam and they're uploading there and put the invoice attachment along with it, this information will now also be available in Sage. So you have the same information for both systems, because we know obviously accounting and operations teams tend to work in different systems, and we want to make sure that the information is accurate in both. All right, you can move forward. So we just wanted to have a way to save you time, increase efficiency, reduce any risk of information not being exactly the same or needing to log into an additional system just to check a vendor invoice attachment. So again, just referencing, if you prefer to upload invoices in one system or the other, it doesn't matter now. We want to give you greater control over your workflows. Work however you're comfortable, but the information will be available in both. All right, you can move forward.
And here's that visual for you, just showing you that as you're attaching something in Sage, you're going to be able to see that attachment pass over into RedTeam Flex and vice versa. And this was actually a suggestion from one of our Intacct clients, actually, that I'm working with right now, who needed to be able to enter invoices into Sage and see those attachments show up in Flex for their cost plus billing. So really excited about this one, and you can see it's going to work in either direction.
Awesome. All right. So our second ERP integration update is for those of you with Acumatica Construction Edition. We now have the 2023 R2 certification active. So why is this important? Acumatica will maintain the most recent 3 versions and support the most recent 3 versions of their software. So we need to be sure that we're up to date with the versions that we support as well, to make sure that you don't have any hiccups with anything in the integration. So we just want to make sure that you have all the options. And if you have Acumatica and you've not integrated with RedTeam Flex yet and you're interested, please reach out to us. We're happy to explain to you how you can get that done. All right, Sarah, you can move forward. Vendor quotes updates. So you've heard quite a bit about vendor quotes updates and all of the pre-construction updates that we've been making. Very recently, we've released some additional efficiency enhancements to the way that you manage vendor quotes in RedTeam. So you can now preload the bid package quote into the vendor commitment. You can create a vendor commitment from a bid package, and you can also convert a quote to a vendor change. So we want to reduce the risk of manual error when creating the products and services or the scope of work in either your vendor commitments or changes. So a poll should be popping up here in a moment for you. Please take just a second. Let us know a little bit about how you handle bid solicitation. All right. So again, what did we do here? The bid package quote is automatically going to build out the products and services of either your vendor commitments or changes. Since bid packages contain several cost codes, you're able to generate multiple vendor commitments from your bid package. Perhaps you've awarded multiple vendors different portions of that bid package. So we wanted to make sure that's possible as well. So we wanted to save you time, increase efficiency, reduce the risk of manual errors by pulling in that information directly into your commitments. And we're continuing to work on vendor quotes for additional efficiency gains. So stay tuned for more to come.
So this is just going to be a video to kind of illustrate that. And for those who are familiar with the shortcuts that we had in our previous RFQ process, you're going to be just essentially kind of seeing that return where now there's a tools icon. We can turn a quote directly into a commitment here. So use my existing commitment forms. And I can also, from the buyout tab, I'm going to be able to go ahead and jump up to step one and include a quote if I don't use that shortcut. So should be fairly familiar to folks who are using the old RFQ methods, but you can see here how quick and simple it is to turn a quote that you've gathered from your bid packages directly into a commitment. You can see what it's doing here is just kind of pulling those items in based on what was in the quote. And here we're starting from the buyout tab. So we're actually clicking a form from the buyout tab. And in step one, as we select that vendor, we're going to see available quotes from those bid packages. So it can be approached from either direction, just a useful shortcut to make sure you're saving time in that products and services step and allowing you to more quickly generate your commitments. So he's filling in essentials so that he can then go down and show you products and services right here where it's pulling in all the information from that bid package, which in this case includes a lot of different cost codes.
All right, so employee expense updates. This was just released last week. You've had the opportunity for a while to route electronically now your employee expenses for approval, but we just released the ability to select multiple expense items and route all of those at one time just to save you some time as you're routing things for approval. We've also added a new inbox column in employee expenses. So if you have a ton of expenses, you want to see where certain expenses are stuck in the approval process, you can now see who owns that expense approval step at that moment. So just a note, you can create employee expenses as either overhead or project expenses in RedTeam Flex. So again, if you have a particular time of the month or a payroll time where expenses that you have entered all through the payroll period are now listed in your RedTeam Flex database. Just a note as well, you can enter expenses directly into the web or on our RedTeam Flex mobile application. Makes it super easy to take a picture, get that attachment of different receipts and things right in the system. But again, you can have some expenses as overhead. And a little note about that, if you elect to use the electronic routing and you have an overhead expense, you want to make sure that your employee profile has a supervisor filled out, because for overhead expenses, it's going to go directly to your supervisor to approve. For project-related expenses, you want to make sure that your team has configured their expense approval workflows. So you can choose for a project, if an expense is under a certain dollar value, maybe it goes directly to accounting and that's fine, or above a certain dollar value, maybe it hits your project manager first and an operations manager, however your company wants to work it. So just a couple things of note for some ease of use there as you begin to electronically approve your expenses.
So just displaying that inbox column that's been added so that you can see where the approval sits, and then notice how he's checkboxing multiple expenses to go ahead and route or mass execute those. So just a little bit of an addition there to save a lot of time.
All right, so we've got some construction management at risk report updates. So late last year, for those of you that have been with us for a while, you recall that we released the ability to create custom schedule of values or SOV types, including things like general conditions. So to continue to drive efficiency and transparency for those of you who run CMAR projects, we want to give you the option when you elect to link the SOV to budget during project setup. You'll now have the option to filter out various financial reports for things like general conditions if you don't want to show those. So we have the actual cost report, the negotiated cost report, and the indicated outcome reports now have these cool filters where you can elect to keep in or out various SOV types to make sure that you have reporting that you can use internally in meetings, you can share with project owners and not worry about too much financial detail for internal items being shared. So again, we just wanted to save you time, increase efficiency, reduce the risk of any manual errors if you've been trying to run some of these reports in RedTeam Flex and then maybe export them to manipulate them before sharing with project owners. We just wanted to give you a quick, easy way in one click to have the data that you need to share directly this way. So it's allowing you the freedom to be transparent with your project owners, but keep a lot of that internal administrative costs out of some of your owner reporting. So for those of you who run CMAR projects or have other reasons for linking the SOV to budget, you'll see that within your contract tab, you have the indicated outcome report. That's a report that is a little bit hidden in that contract tab. So I just wanted to make sure if you've not been using it, you know the benefits of that report. So basically it helps provide a full picture of the outcome based off of the schedule of values. So it's a great tool to review with your project owners. You can look at the expected outcome by comparing the projected contract value against the estimate at complete. Very useful. Again, you need to make sure that if you want access to this report, you elect to link your SOV to budget during project setup.
And I think we've got another little video here to just kind of demonstrate that ability to filter. So we're looking at the schedule of values. This is the view that you'll have if you've linked your SOV to budget, where you've got that changes and adjustments column and all of those additional types for SOV line items. And then as we come to the contract tab, we're able to pull that indicated outcome report, which is only available for these CMAR style projects. And you can see here where they're now split out based on the type of SOV line item, and there's a filter at the top for me to go ahead and select exactly which types of SOV line items I want to include. I can then print or export that report as needed. And then we're coming over to the budget tab here. We're going to see some additional functionality in the actual costs report. Just kind of showing that additional filter capability where we can now filter by SOV type line items. And again, that's only possible if we've linked our SOV to our budget. That actual cost report wouldn't know how to filter these if you weren't linked SOV to budget. And then lastly, pulling that negotiated costs report, we'll see those SOV types up here as well. So you'd go ahead and select what you want and then hit the filter button over on the right. And of course, that report can also be exported or printed as needed.
All right, so another item coming soon, single sign-on and multi-factor authentication. So we're going to provide an option for single sign-on and multi-factor authentication for those using Microsoft Entra ID, formerly Microsoft Azure AD. So we're starting with Entra ID and planning to offer additional solutions in the future. Entra ID will control the login to RedTeam Flex web and mobile. So it's just an efficient way for users to log into RedTeam Flex web and mobile while also enhancing security, making it easier for your administrators behind the scenes to manage access to RedTeam Flex. They can quickly remove the ability for users to log into your systems. Individual users can more efficiently log into RedTeam Flex as well. This is most beneficial to companies with a large number of employees and a lot of administrative things that need to take place. Also for anyone looking to enhance security with multi-factor authentication. Again, that's something coming soon. All right, lien waiver management updates. This one is personally exciting to me. I used to have to manage this in RedTeam Flex, so everything that updates here, I really extra love. So this is something else coming soon. We're currently working on the ability to be able to send lien waivers directly out of RedTeam Flex. We've offered for many years now the ability to track and manage lien waivers created and signed outside of RedTeam Flex, as well as to see whether you've received signed waivers from vendors before issuing payment. We've allowed you to stop a payment from being issued if those waivers are not in hand. But we're working on the ability for your team to create your own waiver templates and forms within RedTeam Flex that you can then send directly to vendors via RedTeam Flex. They'll be able to digitally sign them directly in RedTeam, so you'll no longer have to worry about manually uploading signed waivers or requesting them outside of the system. So it's going to be a huge time saver for you, for those of you that have many subcontractors, especially your vendors, and you process a lot of payments on a monthly basis. It's just a way to really keep everything in the same system. And again, we're going to have a poll here pop up. Please take a moment and answer that poll about how you currently manage lien waivers. So this update really just allows your team to save time, increase productivity by removing the need for lien waiver management to partially take place outside of RedTeam Flex. You'll be able to generate and send the waivers directly from RedTeam Flex. Vendors are going to be able to digitally sign those waivers, which are then stored in RedTeam along with the metadata tracking that you've become used to. So you'll know who took what action and when. You'll still be able to track and withhold vendor payments pending missing waivers. So now really your entire vendor payment workflow can take place end to end within RedTeam Flex, from issuing commitments and changes to lien waiver management, and finally vendor invoice and payment approvals. So just a note here, if you've not checked out Team Player for RedTeam Flex to allow your vendors to directly add their invoices in RedTeam to save additional administrative time on your end, please reach out to your client success manager. They can talk to you about the benefits of doing so and kind of answer any questions that you have about that as well.
Absolutely. So this is just another visual for you. For those who are familiar with that level set integration that already exists, you're seeing this request button in essentially the same place that you're seeing it with that level set integration that we have, except now I'm able to go ahead and select from my own configured forms within my Flex database. So there's no need to go outside. I can send those forms for digital signature and they'll be placed back in the database automatically as those are completed.
All right, so here's those resources that we referenced before. First of all, we want to thank you so much for attending the webinar. We just want to make sure that you know that you can use your phone, check out our webinar hub right from here. Again, we have resources about our recent releases, things that we've talked about today, as well as some other recent releases that we didn't have an opportunity to speak about. We also have a link here to our product release notes, which you can also access on redteam.com. And then we also have our meet us at AGC. Our team will have a booth next month at AGC. So if you're interested in learning more about how you can get in touch with us there, please use that as well. There's also going to be a very brief survey at the end of the webinar. Please respond to the survey. Again, everything that we do really is because of feedback that you've provided us. So thank you so much for continuing to provide that feedback. And thank you for using RedTeam. All right, let's see if we have any questions come through that Sarah
Yeah,
has
so
not
I
answered.
don't think we have any that necessarily were super applicable to the whole group. I'm still walking through, guys, to answer a few of those individual questions that you've asked. Certainly, Rhonda, we are going to send the deck out to attendees, so you'll be getting a recording and a slide deck. And then this lien waiver functionality, right? We don't have a date to give you yet, but it is on our coming soon list, right? So you can look forward to that in the near future. I would also say, if you have interest in learning about that link SOV to budget feature, you can certainly access that through our intercom articles. You're able to look for link SOV to budget. That should direct you to the right articles to learn about that feature and watch some related videos.
Yes, and again, that's a preference in your preferences. I believe that's step 2 during the new project setup workflow that we have. So, you know, like Sarah mentioned, you can check out our help articles. If you have a sample project or a test project in your database, you can always check it out, kind of see what it does there. If you have projects that you need to link your SOV to budget and you're just curious what that will look like for your team, you can always do that as well.
We do have one, Nicole, that may be worth answering live. I'm not 100% certain on this answer. Do you know if the lien waiver feature is going to integrate with Team Player? or is that one we need to check in with our product team on?
I know there have been some updates to the latest there. I was involved in the early stages of talking about this. I don't want to say definitively yes or no because there have been some changes. So for now, I will say I can get back to everyone with that answer. Maybe that's something that we can add to um, the webinar hub, the post webinar hub, and information that you receive after the webinar.
Perfect. And I
Right.
think, Mary, I'm going to post you a link here in a moment for our latest webinar on change orders, but I don't see any other questions at the moment, Nicole.
Okay. All right. Well, if anybody thinks of anything else, please feel free to respond to the post webinar materials that you receive, or always reach out to your client success manager. And when they reach out to you for a call, please be available for 10 or 15 minutes every quarter so that they can talk to you, get a feeling for exactly what your needs are. Because again, your feedback is what builds our roadmap. So we want to continue to do what is right for you. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We really appreciate it.